Okay, this is like the fourth time trying to do this, and the last few times it has stopped recording at like 30 seconds, so that's unfortunate. But, so we're talking about MacieJay's outro song, which is called Sophomore Makeout. Amazing name by Silent Partner. So yeah, he puts it at the end of his videos, in case you didn't know that. Here's what it sounds like.
Push.
But yeah, I'm mostly interested in the first part, the beginning. The do 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 do. Oh, I'll play it on the piano. That part. And the bass line especially. Probably my favorite part of that is the bass. Although it's hard to separate the bass from the drums in a song like that, because they're both really important. But the bass line, which is like I don't know, something about that with the and it's just all I really like it. I think it's really crisp and clean and interesting and upbeat. So every once in a while a song catches my interest and then I want to remake it, so I do. I think it's a really good exercise because it helps me with my listening and my critical listening and my analytical listening and whatnot, because if I'm trying to mimic something exactly, I have to, take each little layer and find out what the layers are and listen very carefully. So what I start with in pretty much everything is the drums, and I started there here as well. I listened to this and analyzed the kick first, just listened to it over and over and listened for the kick and tried to single it out. Praise the Lord, I have dope headphones and I'm able to do that to the best of my ability. And then so what I do is I go to all results here in the Finder, and that basically searches like your whole computer kind of. And I go kick and look for kick drums. And like I have so many kick samples, if you can't tell. Look how small this bar is. Look at all these. I mean, like hundreds and hundreds of samples. And whenever I'm making a song, I basically have to go through all of them because I'm dumb and I haven't organized them still. Which is a good thing to do, but every producer hates to do it because it's terrible. And everyone jokes about how samples are organized or unorganized or whatever, disorganized. Anywho, so I look through them until I find one that sounds like what they have in the song. So this one actually sounds pretty dang close to like the exact sound of the kick in there, but then these ones have a couple other elements in them that I think will flesh out the sound and make it like whenever I'm looking for drum samples, I always look for multiple layers that I can then tweak, because like with a sound like that, what you can do is you can take, for example, for that you can take an equalizer and you can so like for this sound here, I'll put it on that sound specifically. You can take this and say you love this sound but you feel like it just needs a little bit more of a snap or a click at the top. Then you take another sample that has a snap or a click, and you just cut everything except for that snap out of it with the EQ, like this. This shows what frequencies are getting cut off. So everything past this is getting cut off. And here I'll show you so you can see the change over time. So let's find out how to play this. Just give me 1 second. Just have to find the right spot. There it is. This is the one I'm working on. So this is what it sounds like, and listen as I change this. So you get it to where all you have is that snap that you want, and then when you play both of them, you get that snap and this one, which is basically your more rounded out sound, and then you get the snap out of this one, and then you get the lower, punchier tones out of this one. With the same thing, you just take the EQ, and instead of taking the high out, you take instead of taking the low out, you take the high out. So it goes from, let me find it. let me find the right key to, there we go. It goes from this down to, you might not even be able to hear that on this microphone, but anyway, yeah, you just cut out, and you can do different shapes too. You don't just have to do cut out highs and lows. Like you can take, this is called a bell curve, where it's got this curve shape, you know, and you can accentuate any part of the frequency that you want, or completely remove any part of the frequency you want. And there's another type, you can set each of these 8 curves to any shape that you want. And there's this one, it's called a notch, and you can see you literally just completely eliminate whatever you want from the sound. So anyway, I look for samples that have the different elements of a whole sound that I want and put those together. And usually if I was going ham and making a real track, I'd have the kicks all in one drum rack in an audio track, and then the snares all in another on their own track, and blah blah blah. But I'm putting everything together in this one drum rack because speed. So I did that process for the kick samples, and then for the snare samples, again, listening for different parts that sound like they would be used to put together to form this sound. But this one's like, this one sounds already pretty much exactly like the one they have. And then hats, these are the ones that unfortunately, like, I wasn't able to find things that were quite on point with what they have. But it works. I mean, it's just that yeah, so yeah, like that, right? So once I had the sounds that I wanted, I figured out what the pattern was, which is, I mean, it's a very simple one. So and this looks complicated, but it's really not. It's just because I have, you know, multiple samples for each sound in the same drum rack. So like for the kick, I have 3 different sounds, right, that we talked about. So since they're in the drum rack this way, and the drum rack lays these out on a keyboard in a certain way, it looks like they're all spread out, but they're really just it's the same sound. So all these 3 together make one sound, right? The kick, and then these ones make the snare, and then these ones make the hat. So this is really, there's only 3 sounds, and then I'm just doing them in a pattern. Like if each sound was one note, this would look extremely simple, but it's just, I'm just using multiple samples, so it looks kind of crazy. But anyway, it sounds like, yeah. So that's actually probably really loud for you, and I'm sorry. But yeah, that's the pattern that they have. And I could probably turn this down since everything's maxed out anyway. So yeah, this is. Oh wow, now it's playing those. Okay, I don't want to do that yet. Spoilers. But yeah, so that's the drums, and then once I got those figured out. Oh, and I did this too for like the first part. That's easy. It's just kind of like the kick and some of the snare sounds and a new sound that I use. Yeah, this. That was another sample that I found because in the beginning when they're first doing those snares, it sounds kind of, wait, is it only 3? Yeah, it's only 3, that's cool. But it's just, it sounds more like he's hitting the rim of the snare. Yeah, it's like a rim shot kind of sound. It's not like the beefy, where is it? Yeah, it's not like the beefy, you're actually hitting the snare sound. It's like when you hit the rim, you get that click, like that. So I found another rim shot sound, like that, and added it in. And so that's for the, and now that I know it's only 3, that's actually useful. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is cut out the first one so that you have a blank space in the beginning and then it starts. Yeah, okay. So then for the guitar, now this is very interesting. I'm actually kind of proud of this. What I did was I typed in guitar, and I have no idea honestly what I have for guitar, because like when I make my music I never use guitars, and if I did I would just get an audio interface and plug my guitar into it and record like that. I wouldn't like use samples because I can literally just learn to play whatever I want and play it in. So why would I use samples that are already played by someone else that might not match up? But in this case I'm not going to do that because I don't have an audio interface yet. So I'm forced to look for samples, so I just you know, it's like hitting I'm feeling lucky on Google, I guess. I just typed it in and said, alright, let's see what I got. And I listened through for a while. And it's just all these different little samples. And you notice they're all different rhythms, all different keys and whatnot. But as I was looking through, I found this one, Pert Guitar. Oh, that's actually the one I made. Since I saved it, it gets saved back into here. It's complicated, but it wasn't there before. This is what I found. You can see how it says COTS Pert Guitar 1 1 1. That's because I took Pert Guitar 1 and then changed it, and every time I changed it, it adds another 1 on. So this is what I had to start with. 4 strums of one note, and it's not a note that I'm going to use anyway. So what I did was I opened up an audio track and I took it in here, and then I listened to the song, right? And I figured out, okay, so the notes are, there's 2 lines. There's the top line and the bottom line. The top line goes like this, and the bottom line goes like this. And if you put them together, right, you get that. And so I figured, okay, so I need a top line, which is this, and I need a bottom line. So I cut this down to 2 notes because, actually no, I just left it. Okay, so one thing you can do with audio is you can hit warp, and what warping does is it shrinks the sound. Like the program is smart, and it goes through the waveform, which is what the sound is to a computer. It looks through and it sees what it looks like, and at these peaks, these transients here, where it gets the loudest, where there's like the sharp loudness, it finds those and it squeezes the sound to line those up with your time. So you can take any kind of sound and it's like brutally forcing a sound to fit to your tempo, basically. And sometimes it works better than others because sometimes it's not that far of a stretch, you know. If you have a sound that's pretty close to your tempo already, it's not going to mangle it as much when it's squeezing it. So that's kind of a shortcut, but you can hit warp, and now this, which started out like, see, it's already pretty fast. Like I said, it's already close to my tempo. So when I warp it, it's like right on time. And that leaves me with this. But I need this to change. So what I did was I split it, because this needs to go, so I'm doing the top line first. It needs to go, right? So actually I don't need to split this one, to be honest. I can put that back together. But but that's not the right note. I need this note. So what I do is I transpose it up to the right note, which is 8, I think. I think it was 8 steps up. Yeah. So yeah, I do that, and then if I duplicate it, I can take this new one and pitch it back down again to get to the next part. So, right, so that's the top light. That's the top line. And then the bottom line, so I take this whole track and I duplicate that. And then, so this will be my top line track, and this will be my bottom line track. So then I go into these ones and change them to the right pitch. So the bottom line is again, so I need 2 with this note, so I'm going to split it right in the middle, because this is a 4-note section, so I'm going to split it into 2 by hitting split, and then change the pitch on this one to this note. Yeah, see? So I need to go. Next I need 2 notes at this note. So let's pull this down even further. Yeah, so. And then that just needs to repeat. But I like the order, because you see how like they're not all the same hardness. So I like that kind of change throughout it. So I just copy the whole thing and then again do it individually. So this is at 3, and then this one is at 1. And I've already learned this through taking time and figuring it out. But then you put those together, so this is your bottom line. This is your bottom line. And you put that together with the top one. And you hear that? Let's look at that. From this, I have the exact sound I want. Just like that. Praise the Lord. It's like magic. And then I was getting really ambitious, so I thought, I noticed that it has like a slidey sound in there. And obviously, this is not going to sound like a real person playing the guitar because there's all these cuts. It's the same sample looping and being pitched around. It's not a real guitar. So it sounds pretty close, but it's not, it doesn't have that organic feel to it. But one thing I can do to kind of make it have the organic feel is to get a slide in there. If you notice, it goes doo 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 doo. There's like a little fret slide on there. So I looked and I was like, well, if I have a guitar sound like that, I probably happen to have a guitar slide sound. And I looked and look at this. Just a bunch of slides, which I can then change again with the pitch. So I'll cut the long story short. I found those sounds that I wanted in that little thing. What this is, an ADG, it's just like, like I showed you the drum rack, how it's like a group of sounds bookmarked, if you will. It's the same thing, but it's preloaded. So you double click on this, it opens up not necessarily a drum rack, but it's another kind of rack, and it's got a bunch of preset sounds in there. So like if I do this, let's see, yeah, I'll have to undo that, but see, it's got all these sounds loaded. And they're all different slides. So I opened that up and I found the ones that sounded close to what I wanted, but even those were not the right pitch. So I had to take the ones that so I had to listen for it and say, I had to say, okay, that sounds like the right length, and then take the ones that sounded like the right length and change the pitch so it was the right note. And I ended up with this, and that just adds that little sliding. Oh, there's screaming going on, great. But, so, like, this is my life. I can't get a moment of peace. But, anyway, the sliding, yeah, so it goes like, I'm totally lost. Hold on, let me regain what I was thinking about. So yeah, I found the right ones that I liked, and then I pitched them up. And right now it sounds kind of ham-fisted. It's like really boring, but if I turn the volume down on them a bit and do some little effects magic to it, I can blend it in with this sound. So then, all in all, what I've got so far, and okay, one thing that I haven't done yet that I will do right now is space these out right, because this happens once every 2 bars. So what I do is I select how long I want to duplicate, and I duplicate that time over and over. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's the best I can do to explain it right now. So yeah, I just make it happen over and over in the timing that I want. And then there we go. And then I take that. Oops, no, don't do that, please. Then I take that and I put it on I add the drums back in. I'll just go ahead and take this to arrangement. Oh, okay, so I need to duplicate this. So I just put the drums in, and then I take this whole thing. I'll go ahead and do this. This is the problem with having a 13-inch laptop screen. This is why you want a really big screen for working on this stuff. Because you can see more at once. But anyway, I take this little 3-hit intro, put it in, pop it right in there.
You want to see Spider-Man?
Please, not right now. I'm recording. I told you.
Hey, I'm just getting the pancake.
Okay, well, knock, alright? It's my room. This is literally what I deal with every time I try to do anything. So, anyway, and then it all comes together. See, those sound really bad right now, but I'll blend them in. In fact, we'll take them out for a minute. And now I work on the bass. And I was thinking of doing a bass synth at first, but with the luck I've had looking for guitar sounds, I decided to go ahead and look for like an acoustic, an electric, but not like a dubstep like kind of bass, like a real bass, you know. And this is a lot to look through, but okay. So wait. Not bad. There's a real bass. Although, is that like acoustic? I can't hear it through these speakers. I'll have to put my headphones on. Yes. You know what? I could cut this up. I think I'll cut that up because if I try to make a synth, it'll sound okay, but it won't sound like a real one. And like these, they don't sound organic, like I said, but they do sound like a real guitar. Because it's from a real guitar. So now I just need to take a bass sound and cut that up the way I want. And I'm feeling like doing it, so I'll go ahead and record the whole process if I can. So let's see. So this sample is of a long... That's bad. Because I haven't changed it yet. But this sample is like of a long riff. Yeah, that's nice because I got some short notes, I got some long notes, I got some stuff to mess around with in there. So then I just need to go and listen. So we'll listen to this again.